Hello world, it's Berto Prey 5, Qapla. This is my Star Trek Picard Episode 9 review, and we're going to do this differently. This is not going to be a full episode breakdown, because frankly, I'd be talking about this for hours and hours. Instead, I'm going to just go over a bunch of points before the episode even begins. The title of this episode is Et in Arcadia Ego, which is Latin, and it refers to what I'd consider an obscure painting, but that's not the problem. The problem is that it's called Part 1. Okay, so they're saying it's a 2-part episode. For all practical purposes, a mini-series. It's serialized. Every episode is a part. This is Part 10 of Season 1 of Star Trek Picard. You don't need to have a 2-part episode. The entire season is just one thing. So that's my first problem. And the episode starts out with Jurati scared under the table because they're in a Borg corridor and the ship is shaking a little bit. Now, I'll grant you Jurati has been the scaredy cat on this mission, but even for her, this is just ridiculous. Then, leaving the Borg subspace corridor now looks like the Bajoran wormhole. I mean, literally, it looks like exactly out of Deep Space Nine, if Deep Space Nine was in HD. When trying to figure out how Narek found the ship, Soji, who's the smartest one there, says he must have done it by extrapolating from their last known position. No. That's not how extrapolating works. Extrapolating is if you have 2 points and you continue the line, you can extrapolate where they're going. Besides Rios specifically stating that he was doubling back and changing his course to get to Nepenthe, just in case they were being followed, the fact is they got to Nepenthe, then left Nepenthe, and they didn't even know where they're going, because Soji didn't know where they were going. They laid in a course to Deep Space 12, then Soji got this, giant spark in her head that, we're going to go to a Borg subspace corridor that nobody else knew about. So, no, you cannot extrapolate, and he was waiting at the subspace corridor for them to get there. So they cannot extrapolate that. That's not how it works. Why did Picard and Raffi right now pick this time to be worried about people dying needlessly? We're up to 86 on-screen deaths, not including the thousands of Borg. 86. Dozens of them while Picard was present. Only now they start talking about not killing an enemy when he's wounded and extending a hand even to an enemy who's about to die, because now life is sacred. The one time where killing the person would actually save them from what we know. We know this is going to be a problem for them. But no, of course, right now in episode 9, they finally decide to take a moral stance against murder. And I know Picard gave a speech to Seven about murder, but then he let her beam down with 2 phasers. So don't get me started. So now, apparently, you can reverse your cloaking device and create a ghost of your ship in front of another ship. And not only is it a ghost of the ship, but Raffi scans the ship and even picks up life signs from Narek and says that his pulse was barely there. So the cloaking device not only replicates the ship, it replicates the life signs? Okay, the Sirena and the Borg Cube are burning up as they enter the atmosphere of the planet. Burning up means they're moving very, very fast. You just don't burn as you enter the atmosphere of the planet. It means that you're going incredibly fast. I know the writers might think, they're entering the atmosphere, we've got to show fire, but that's not how it works. Okay, if you enter slowly, you're not going to burn. Apparently, they crashed softly, but they entered at incredible speed. There were no parachutes. I'm guessing we are supposed to assume that the orchids slowed them down. The orchids that were burnt up and burnt away by the time they landed, they slowed them down. So Picard all of a sudden starts thanking the Borg for coming, or is he just having a senior moment? We're supposed to believe that this was part of his Irrimatic syndrome. It seemed like he was in communication with the Borg Cube, which is kind of weird because Seven was no longer a Borg Queen at this point. No one was in charge of the Borg Cube. There shouldn't have been a collective. And Picard had been to the Cube before without getting any of these signals. The orchids that were pulling the Sirena and the Borg Cube down happened to land them right side up and perfectly flat. Jurati is standing over Picard in sickbay, and she isn't a medical doctor. Why is she the one doing this? Both Rios and Raffi were in Starfleet. We know Starfleet gives medical training to everybody. One of them should have been there. Not to mention the last time she was left alone in sickbay, she killed the guy. Jurati calls it an old-school medical tricorder. They had a perfect place to use a TOS-era tricorder, but they didn't. This doesn't look like any old tricorder I ever saw on screen. So Jurati uses this old tricorder to scan, and apparently she finds out that Picard is dying. And the way she looks is like he's dying in the next 15 minutes. I mean, Beverly Crusher said that she needed to run a very specific scan to even see this abnormality in his brain, that it wouldn't show up on normal scans. How is this tricorder able to see it? How does Soji know they're 5 or 6 kilometers away from the settlement? They were completely encased in an orchid as they fell to the planet. Does she just have, like, GPS? Raffi makes a reference to homicidal fungi. Is that a Star Trek Discovery reference? I'm thinking she means the mushroom people that got mad every time Discovery used the spore drive, but of course that wouldn't make sense because all that was classified. So they get out of the La Sirena and they see the artifact in the distance. That Borg Cube is 3 kilometers on every side. Okay, that is like a 15,000 plus foot mountain. It should look almost like Mount Everest on that horizon, but you can barely see it. Soji forgets Hugh and Elnor are on the cube. She's just like, yeah, good riddance. So Raffi talks about something so massive falling that fast, talking about the Borg Cube, how probably no one survived, even though everyone was fine in the La Sirena. But Raffi, this is first grade physics, okay? The mass of an object doesn't affect how fast it falls. Your first grade teacher could have brought in a bowling ball and a tennis ball and dropped them, and lo and behold, they hit the ground at the exact same time. 7 of 9 is kicking Borg bodies down like they're garbage, like they're trash. These are people she cared about. She should be treating them all with respect, and she is like literally pushing them off ledges with her foot. Where is the respect? Where's the love? How did 7 see the La Sirena and the snakehead in the conduit, even though that Borg Cube wasn't supposed to be hooked up to the Borg network? If 7 could see them, then couldn't the Borg see 7? Why does Picard need to tell 7 to prioritize scanners over food replicators? Doesn't 7 of 9 know that scanners are probably pretty important? You crashed on an unknown planet, and you didn't think that you were going to put long-range scanners on the front burner? 218 warbirds detected a day away on long-range scanners, but the La Sirena could barely detect a few hundred yards a few episodes back. And once again, isn't it convenient that these Romulan warbirds aren't cloaked? How does the Romulans know that this planet has almost no defenses? If they were just cloaked, it would have saved them a hell of a lot of trouble. Soji's paper photographs not only survived the big Borg crash, but they're all face up and barely moved. They're also able to get everywhere in this cube without any power, except, emergency batteries. Elnor tells Picard that it's worse to say goodbye because Picard's dying, like he only has a few hours left to live or something. When did that happen? Does he not expect to see Elnor again? I mean, Picard should see Elnor within a few days. They have to leave the planet. I mean, there's only one ship that probably will ever fly again. 7 changed her mind and now supports Picard saving the galaxy. Okay, but why? So we meet the other synths, and Arcana knows Picard as Data's captain. So I guess we're to believe that all of these were created from Data's neuron, or neurons. Why are all the synth guys bare-chested? Dr. Altan Inigo Soong. Really? Really? You're going to retcon Dr. Soong had a son? There's a lot of evidence to suggest he never had a son. There's a lot. And since when does get this man some water mean take him away? Would the rest of the group let Picard get separated? They just got there. They were so protective of him. Now they're letting some stranger take Picard away to get him a drink of water. Bring the water to Picard! It's not that hard. Then just to be clear here, Dr. Soong is throwing Bruce Maddox under the bus. Bruce Maddox is dead, but Dr. Soong is saying it's all Bruce's fault. Everything that's happened, it's all Bruce's fault. So we learned they only had one ship, but they lost it when Jana and Flower were killed. You know, Beautiful Flower. I finally get why his name was Beautiful Flower. I mean, just look at these other guys on this planet. He probably wasn't wearing a shirt. Why would they not build more ships? It's been 9 years! 9 years! They don't build more ships. They don't build more orchids to defend themselves, even though they know the Federation hates them. And even 9 years ago they knew the Federation hates them. Why on earth would they have agreed to a first contact meeting? That makes zero sense. Were they just sacrificed? Fine, if you're going to sacrifice them, then at least build defenses. The planet's virtually defenseless. If the Federation wanted to attack it, they could. Soji's sister, Sutra, happens to know how to mind meld because she reads a lot. She read the teachings of Sorak, and she's really into Vulcan culture, so she taught herself how to mind meld. How does the admonition flashback from 200,000 years ago have Data, a Starfleet insignia, an Earth Fox, and humans? I really don't like that beyond the boundaries of space and time stands an alliance of synthetic life. It's just stupid. What about all the organic races that go beyond space and time? The Q, the Traveler, the Wormhole Aliens, the various ones we came across in the original series? Don't they have any say? Can't they defeat this AI alliance? Dr. Soong's son is an asshole. He really is. How does he not know how to mind transfer? Dr. Soong, the father, knew how to mind transfer. He mind transferred his wife into an android body. She didn't even know she was an android. In another TNG episode, some other mad scientist guy transferred his mind into Data's body. And in Deep Space Nine, our man Bashir, they had to use mind transfer when the crew got stuck in the holodeck because of a transporter accident. Mind transfer is relatively easy in Star Trek. Hell, they did it in the original series. Spot 2. I gotta give it, I love seeing Spot 2. Spot 2 was the highlight of this episode. So Rios and Jurati are now in love, I guess. Arcana, or her sister, gives a device to Raffi to help them fix the ship. No instructions other than use your imagination. And of course they have tools for fixing ships because why? They have no ships. Why would you have tools for fixing ships? And you're almost defenseless, so why would you be building tools to fix ships instead of actually building ships? And if you're going to fix anything, why not send a tool to fix the Borg ship? That one might actually save you. The La Sirena is not going to. Raffi decides she needs to thank Picard instead of hating him finally. They both say they love each other. Well, wasn't that a warming moment, but totally out of character. Picard tries to call Starfleet on a secure hyper-frequency, whatever the hell a hyper-frequency is. Obviously, Starfleet doesn't check for hyper-frequencies. Maybe just try a regular old subspace frequency, Admiral. Narek asks Sarga, who's Arcana's twin, if this is how you treat all your prisoners. Sarga says, well, we never had a prisoner before. But it seems like they built a brig just in case. Very convenient. Another good point in this episode, besides Spot, we finally get a futuristic photograph. This is what they all should have been like. It looks like paper, but when you view it, it's a video. This is good. This is futuristic. This I like. They should have all been like this. Why does sticking a hummingbird through the eye kill a synthetic? Why is Soong crying over her perfect golden eye? Everyone on the planet has the same golden eyes. Jana uses the line, banning synthetics was just the way of exterminating us in advance. What a reach. So Picard is trying to tell all these synths that he has a ship and there's room for all of them. But is there? Because there seems to be a lot of synths. And don't forget, he also has to take Elnor, 7, and all the XBs on the Borg Cube. Unless he's just going to leave them there to die, which I doubt it. The La Sirena doesn't seem to be all that big of a ship, especially if these synths breathe oxygen, which they seem to do. Of course, at the end, Soji turns on Picard. And the final scene are the Romulans with their 218 warbirds, who, again, aren't cloaked. But if they had these 218 warbirds, why aren't they out there helping all those Romulans that need help? Remember, when we started this series, there were these Romulans that were stuck on a planet. They needed a way off. They needed to get relocated. Romulans have a fleet of 218 warbirds. Do something with them. Apparently they were all waiting to attack the synth homeworld because that was more important. So yeah, I did not like this episode. I think the retcon of giving Soong a son is terrible. It causes so many continuity problems. First, the son should have had all the dad's research. He shouldn't have needed Data's neurons to create more Datas. Soong didn't need Data's neurons to create Datas. He could have just created Datas. Right? He didn't need a neuron to create a synth. You just create the synth. Soong should have the ability to just create more synths. How did Bruce Maddox know Soong's son was even on this planet? So they talked once or twice, they kept it secret that they were working on more or less the same thing? I mean, the fact that Soong's son even existed, wouldn't that pretty much have put Bruce Maddox out of a job? And it really, really, really bugs me when they forget their own canon from within this own series. So we were on this planet. They were walking all around this planet for hours. And this was a planet that we were previously told had constant electrical storms. Constant electrical storms. We got one electrical storm in the distance. In the distance. Never once did it rain. Never once was there a storm above them. It was bright and beautiful and sunny, just like it is in California, where this was filmed. They didn't even make an attempt to make this look like a planet with constant electrical storms. Yet that was so critical to Narissa finding this planet. 2 red moons and constant electrical storms. You get there, and there's no electrical storms. All season, the characters have been killing indiscriminately, and today they choose, let's save the Romulan bad guy. Right. Had Narek not lived, Soji's sister wouldn't have been able to turn everyone into this fear-mongering against I was going to say the solids, because this is almost the exact same story as the Dominion in Deep Space Nine. The changelings fear the solids, just like the synths fear the organics now. Except the synths are going to call on their super friends from outside the galaxy that are going to come in and just, for reasons unknown, destroy all organic life. Why? I mean, the admonition basically states that synthetics are created by organics. Wouldn't they want to have more organics to create more advanced synthetics? Or if the synthetics can create themselves, why do they need organics at all? Why wait for a call? Why not just destroy all organic life right now? Who are they waiting for? It's a jumbled mess, and it makes no sense. This episode was just over 45 minutes long, which is average for this series. But this particular episode, it felt short. Felt like we should have had at least one more good scene. So with that, I'm going to give this episode 2.5 out of 10. It's not good, people. I hope it is. I hope it gets better. I hope this last episode can redeem the series, but it's hurting to watch. I don't like what they're doing to Admiral Picard. I don't like where they're going. Everything that's hard is easily solved, and everything that should be easy becomes a problem. I don't like that it's because it's the end of the season. All of a sudden, Seven changes her mind and likes Picard. All of a sudden, Raffi changes her mind, and she loves Picard. She forgives him. Not only does she forgive him, she loves him. Everybody thinks Picard's about to die. I mean, maybe he is. Maybe he is. Honestly, looking at their faces, Jurati and Elnor's faces earlier, I thought he might not make it through this episode. It's like he's on the verge of death. His doctor from the Stargazer told him he has months, if not years, to live. Everybody's treating him like he's about to die. I don't get it. Anyway, guys, as always, if you like this, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Share this video if you can. It would mean a lot. It's the best thing you can do to help the channel. And I hope you all have a very safe and healthy week. And Qapla all. Take care.